I never had cable growing up, so the only times I was ever able to watch the cartoon of G.I. Joe were Sunday mornings when I would visit my grandmother's place. Granted, this pitted my brother and I against my sisters who wanted to watch Jem and the Holograms, which... no. Over the years, I've seen all kinds of coverage for Nintendo games on YouTube. I've had games like Shatterhand, Kickmaster, Journey to Silius, Nightshade, and even Kabuki Quantum Fighter brought to my attention through various reviews and gameplay videos. However, I've never seen G.I. Joe given the due treatment it deserves, and considering this is one of my favorite NES games, it's kind of a shame because this is a really awesome game. It has all the elements of NES greatness we have all come to love. Tight gameplay, classic level designs, great music, and for NES standards, good graphics. There's even some story elements and cutscenes thrown in for good measure. You start out the game with a quick pep talk from the man himself, General Hawk, who gives you a quick briefing in which he tells you your mission objective and who the mission leader will be. Each mission has a mission lead, but also lets you choose what 2 other Joes you want to take along with. For example, for the first mission, Duke is the leader. Your second choice will be Snake Eyes, and for me, I like to take the mission leader for the next mission as my third choice. For the second mission, Blizzard is the mission leader. Your second choice will be Snake Eyes, and since Snake Eyes is the mission leader for the third mission, I like to take Captain Gridiron. So why is your second choice always Snake Eyes, you ask? Because another really cool feature in this game is that each character has their own specific stats and unique abilities. For example, Snake Eyes can jump the highest in the game, thus making him the most invaluable member of the team to have on every mission. Rock and Roll has the weapon that does the most damage, Duke is the all-rounded guy, and Captain Gridiron has the hardest punch in the game, which is weird because Snake Eyes uses his katana and Blizzard his knife for their hand-to-hand combat weapons. The game is unique in that each Joe is not just a clone of each other. Each one has their own unique feel to them, and choosing the right team is imperative to your success in the missions. Each of the game's 6 missions is split into 3 zones: Action, Adventure, and Escape. The Action Zone is the straightforward scroll and kill everything with a few hidden areas to find along the way mode. I would say Contra style, but this game is not Contra in that each Joe has their own life bar, and ammo has a limited supply, except for Snake Eyes, who uses his ninja Hadoukens to kill enemies from afar, which doesn't use up your ammo. I play the majority of the action scenes using hand-to-hand combat, saving my ammo for boss fights, or for when enemies are on a narrow platform I need to jump to and I don't have room to jump and punch them. Luckily, swapping from hand-to-hand to weapons mode is as easy as hitting the select button, and each Joe has an infinite supply of grenades used by holding up on the D-pad while hitting the attack button in hand-to-hand combat mode. The Adventure Zone, or Objective Zone if you will, sees the Joes traversing large maze-like levels to find check marks with which to place C4 explosives. These are the most challenging levels in the game because they require full exploration to find the places marked for explosives. Scattered throughout these levels are hidden areas with which to find gun and life power-ups, and even various Joe vehicles to aid them in their race to find all the bomb points before time runs out. The vehicles are a really cool addition, but they do have a very small life bar, so reckless playing will make the use of these vehicles all too brief. As you progress, the adventure levels become larger and more complex, and the amount of bombs you have to place increases. This makes for a gradual increase in the difficulty level and feels more balanced. The Escape Zone is similar to the Action Zone in that these are pretty straightforward levels. There are hidden areas to find in these as well, and there are also vehicles to use in your escape if you look hard enough. At the end of all 3 zones, you fight a boss, 2 mid-level bosses, and 1 final boss in every level of the game. The boss battles are well done, but can oftentimes come down to a war of attrition, thanks to the ability to switch between Joes on the fly by hitting the start button, similar to the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. This can be a lifesaver when one of your Joes is close to death, and I like that it pauses the game for you to switch, as this helps keep your split second from death Joes alive as you get a fresh one in there. If the game had stopped there, solid level designs, characters with unique abilities, cool vehicles to use, 3 Joes to swap between on the fly per mission, and a cool hand-to-hand / weapons combat mixture, it would still be a great game and highly suggested to all NES players. However, G.I. Joe adds one feature that just ties it all together, and is probably the most unique aspect of the game. Throughout the game, players collect both life and weapon upgrade icons to upgrade their life bars and their weapons. When you start out, your weapons are basic level 1A. As you collect 4 more weapon upgrade icons, your weapon levels up to 2A. And this goes until the 4th weapon level, where your Joe will have the maximum level weapon he can in the game. The life pickup upgrades your life bar by adding to it. So even the character with the smallest life bar at the beginning of the game will have his maximum sized one by the time you get to the end. I won't compare this to the depth of an RPG leveling system, but each character does grow in life and damage ability as you find more of these upgrades. This is why my general strategy is to always bring the leader of the next mission along with. I generally max out the mission leader's weapon first, then start leveling the weapon for the next mission leader. The exception being Snake Eyes. I usually use his level to upgrade Captain Gridiron and Rock and Roll, saving Snake Eyes for last, leveling him up right before you acquire the man himself, General Hawk, for the final mission. Infinite jetpack and all. The upgrade system is probably the most unique aspect of the game, and it just ties the whole experience together as another superb offering for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I just can't even figure out why this game doesn't get more mention. Graphically, by Nintendo standards, it may not be the most technically impressive Nintendo game, but the visuals are solid. There is a lot of flickering, and slowdown can become common with a lot of action on screen, but this is Nintendo. And for many years, I never knew that slowdown was a bad thing. It was just something I thought all games did because of how common it was in 8-bit and 16-bit gaming. The controls are solid. The only minor issues that may nag some people is a slight Castlevania-style blowback when you get hit, enemies that instantly reappear if you scroll back to where they are. This can be tough in the jumping portions, but there are a whole lot less ambush enemies in this game than in comparable games, and some tricky jumps here and there where you will have to avoid bumping your head on the platform above, requiring perfect timing. Overall, the controls work great. Swapping Joes on the fly, landing tricky jumps, dispatching enemies, and swapping in and out of weapons mode feel intuitive. The music is also rocking. You may not number the tracks in the all-time list of best NES tunes, but they are still really good and definitely fit the action perfectly. This is classic NES stuff right here. For NES standards, G.I. Joe is moderate in difficulty. There are only 6 levels to play here, and there is thankfully even a simplified password system in place. This game won't take NES pros a long time to master. There are some tough boss fights in later levels, but if I can beat this game, anyone can. It's not easy, but it is beatable. As a kid, I was convinced that most NES games weren't beatable. I would generally just play them till I got to the part that I couldn't pass, and then quit. I never really even tried to beat them, and looking back as I have grown and gotten better at playing NES games, I am still convinced that many of them are not meant to be beaten, or I know I don't have the patience to play all the way through them. Upon beating G.I. Joe, a second, harder quest opens up that only allows you to bring 1 extra Joe in each mission with you, leaving only 2 Joes to use per mission. I haven't actually beaten the second quest, I've only gotten up to the 3rd mission so far, so there is extra replay value once you master the first quest, and more challenge for you Nintendo pros out there. The bottom line. This is one of my favorite NES titles, and it doesn't seem to get enough attention for how good it actually is. This game rarely gets mentioned despite its quality. If you're looking for a good NES romp to play and are played out of the Mega Mans, the Contras, the Castlevanias, and etc., then this is definitely a game you should look into. I would even be so bold as to put it up there with those previously mentioned greats, because quality abounds. Come on, Nintendo gamers, this game needs more attention. And as a final note, there is also a sequel to this game called G.I. Joe: The Atlantis Factor, which I have never played but apparently changed it to more of an action game. From the videos I have seen, it still looks like another quality title that is worth a look, and I plan on picking it up someday.